It has to be 0. Plus minus 5 is pretty good. I know. I know. To most normal people, that's good enough. Anything that has like numbers or something, and it's like it can be there's something that can quote unquote be perfect. That's not a good thing for me. All right, we won't look at it again. Maybe I should just shut this off. Well, let me just make sure. Well, I can just do it by ear at this point, right? I was gonna say let me just make sure all the notes are right, but yay! All right, so I think that works pretty well, or it works how it's supposed to work. So we'll shut the power off. And now, thank you for everybody's patience with that, because I'm sure that was enthralling to watch. I think I'm due for I'm trying to fit in all my sound commands in here.
The Highlander was a documentary, and the events happened in real time.
All right, so now this should be interesting. We have to put it in the enclosure, which I'm not used to this type of enclosure. We witnessed this greatness in real time. You certainly did. The beautiful tones of the Oskitone Poly555 coming to you live. All right. So these little nuts go in here. Hopefully this assembly is not going to be too ridiculous. We'll see how this goes. So these go in here because this enclosure hopefully shouldn't be difficult, but it is a little bit more involved than what I normally do. And this is the thing that's going out to the winner of the giveaway. So I want to make sure it's perfectly tuned. It's has to be 0 right on, and it is an analog device, so there is going to be some detuning to it over time. And as you just saw, if it gets so out of tune that it's not sounding right, you're going to have to kind of open it up and mess around with the tuning. So hopefully it stays in tune long enough that you don't have to do that very often. Like maybe every time you change the battery, you can like tune it up or something. I'm not really sure, honestly. All right, so has to be. Has to be. All right, so it just says put those 2 square nuts, place the finished PCB in the bottom half. It doesn't say anything about the speaker yet, so put that here. Wait, why is that there? It's not really, I don't know about these instructions. Okay, I see where the screw lines up. That's not really flush though. Maybe this isn't down all the way. I get maybe it's supposed to be at an angle like that. It's not really flush in the way that I would expect it to be. It's kind of at a downward angle, but maybe that's how it needs to be for like the keys to function. What goes on top? Well, this goes on top. There's also keys that I haven't. Yeah, well, we're learning together how this assembles. I kind of glanced at this a little bit, and I was thinking to myself at the time that this looks like it's going to be what the hell? The battery goes where? Here? Am I looking at this wrong? No, there's where the switch. So it has to line up with the switch. Yeah, the holes are lining up, so this must be where it goes. The picture where it says the battery goes is not making sense to me. Slide the 9-volt battery into its space behind the speaker. It will be a tight fit. Yeah, tight as in this doesn't look like it's going to fit at all, but let's see. It supposedly goes in there. Okay, I take it back. It worked. It fit. You right. And we're going to kind of tuck these wires out of the way, maybe. All right, and the fit speaker into its container ring above battery. Try to hide any excess wire from the speaker under the PCB. Is that for functional reasons, or is that just purely aesthetic reasons? And does this go? This goes up and down like this. They didn't really include much excess speaker wire, honestly. So there's really not much to hide. Oh my goodness. Just get in there. Oh, you know what? I forgot to get a Phillips head screwdriver. I noticed I needed to do that, but then I forgot to do it. All right, that's hidden enough, right? All right, speaker goes in there. Like a bar to hold it. You know what I've noticed? What's interesting about this, I guess it is, the speaker is pretty snug in there. Like there is no, see how there's mounting holes here for the speaker? It doesn't screw in place. It just, the top goes over the top and holds it in, which I find kind of interesting. Okay, so the little screws go, oh shit, I just dropped this fucking tiny screw that's going to be hard as hell to find. All right. All right. Well, let me take a momentary break because I need a Phillips head screwdriver anyway. So bear with me. Let me go get that and try to find this tiny ass screw that I just dropped. Give me a couple minutes. Haha, I remembered to unmute myself. Okay, I found the screw. Got the screwdriver. Let's do this. And it is at an angle, which I would prefer it to say in the instructions here. You'll notice that the circuit board is installed at an angle. It's supposed to be that way. I like when they do that kind of thing. And I'm going to try not to over tighten because that is a problem that I have. Okay, so those are in place. Drop it again, I dare you. No, I thought that was going to take longer. Sometimes it's just the nature of things when you drop them, especially when it's something you want to use right at that moment. It tends to uh, bounce around somewhere that you never would have expected it could get to. All right, so now we're getting to the volume wheel. Let's get this going. Fit the volume wheel onto RV2. Okay, is that going to, I guess this is matching the cavity to the trim pot's shape. As long as it's able to turn the underlying pot, it's okay if it's a little loose. It will get held in place by the enclosure top. Okay, so I guess that just pops on top. Does it need to go in a particular way? It doesn't say. There we go. I was wondering how this was going to work. That's kind of fun. It's just like a 3D printed little wheel that sits on top. And I started churning it, which was a bad idea because I had it like perfectly in there, and then I started messing with it. And then it wasn't in there anymore. Okay. So let's leave that alone. Are you sure that green bar is supposed to be over top of board? The green, which one? The green bar? Oh, you mean at the oh, you're right. I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, I just left it there because that's where it was when I opened the kit. But I think you're right. It's not supposed to be there. I think it goes over the top to secure it in place. Man, I don't know what I would do without chat today. You guys have saved me multiple times. Yeah, you're right. That kind of like it's like a little retainer bar that holds it in place. It probably says something to that effect too. All right, I dropped my wheel. Because it didn't make sense to me why it would be at an angle other than maybe it needed to be that way for the keys to like press down in a certain way. That was what I was thinking. All right, that's good enough. I'm trying to hide the wires, but there's only so much I can do. There we go. That's better. Yeah, that you were exactly right. That was not only is it now flush, but now the purpose of that bar makes sense. It's going to go over the top to secure the bottom of the board in. All right. I don't want to over tighten, but I want to make sure it's tight. There we go. And then this is going to go over the top, and that's how that part of the board is going to be secure. Oh, I got to put the wheel back on. There we go. I'm not going to play with it until it's fully installed. I was just trying to also figure out why it would be tilted. No, I think you're exactly right, because now not only is it flat, but now it makes sense how this is going to stay in place. Yep, the next thing is place the mounting rail onto PCB, aligning its holes to the screw holes. Okay, now we got to get the keys, which have been hidden away over here in this little packaging. Look at this cuteness. Oh, I think the keys go down no, the keys go over the top? Yeah, it looks like the keys go over the top. Place the keys onto the mounting rail. Look at these little keys. Yeah, everything's 3D printed. Okay. Hell yeah. All right, so insert the four. Okay, the other four square nuts go over here. We're getting there. We're almost done. What? How long has it been? 9 hours. This took 9 hours. I'm not technically even done yet. Good Lord, I did not see that coming. I should have. The tuning didn't take as long as I was. Once I got a little help and got the like, why don't you just use your phone? Good point. That is very good advice. Why don't you just point the the microphone at what you're doing? Yeah, another good point. Sometimes I get in my head a certain way of doing things and I don't consider other options. Well, I don't consider them in my own mind. It's like obvious to other people. Uh, you should reprogram it to meow. Yes. Okay, so we put those in. Oh, we got to get the plexiglass. So then we got to put that in there. Get our little viewing window. Got that satisfying peeling protective film off of plexiglass sound. Okay. And fit it into the enclosure top. It says it will fit, but might be tight. If you're worried about breaking the enclosure top, you can use a utility knife to carefully trim down blah blah blah. So hopefully I won't have to do that. If it's loose, you can use a line of glue. So hopefully this just fits in with having to do either of those things. Does this sit in here? It's not totally obvious to me which way it goes. I don't want to force it. Let me see if I can tell better. Where does it sit? I think it sits as close as possible in there, is my guess. Because it does say it's going to be a tight fit. There we go. Kind of. Wait, does that need to go under? Yeah, I think that needs to go under there, though. I'm going to have fingerprints all over it. So I think this needs to go under this little tab here. And then, but it also needs to go under here. And then under there. Oh, I think I got it. That wasn't too bad. It made me worried because it said it will fit. But where did this one come out of here? I like how it has these openings on both the top and bottom to fit these in. All right, and then this goes this way. Wait, how do I get the screws in? Should I? Oh, was I supposed to? Oh, I was supposed to do that before I did the glass. No, I'm doing something wrong. How do I get the? Oh, do I do it from the bottom? Oh, I do it from the bottom. That's what it is. It's like how am I? I thought I needed to get to the screws from the top, but I do not. Okay. We're almost there. Home stretch. Can you guys see it? It's kind of scratched on the bottom. That's okay. Scratched with love. Oh, did the wheel, is the wheel, yep, the wheel is accessible. Switch is accessible. So unfortunately for changing the battery, you're going to have to kind of disassemble it a little bit, but like I said, hopefully the battery lasts a long time. And then while you have it open for that, if you need to retune it, you could retune it. I don't want to over tighten, but I do want it to be secure. All right, are we ready? There it is. Oh, there's a little power. You can see. Oh, you know what? I should have cleaned off the plexiglass before I sealed it up because I was kind of touching it on both sides. It doesn't look too bad, but it could be a little less smudged. There's like a little thing right there that's annoying me. That's okay. I'm going to try not to obsess over it. Hell yeah. Okay, let's turn it on. Oh, why is that stuck? There's a key that's stuck. This isn't good. Well, that's... The volume is working. This key is stuck. All the other keys are working well, so there's something wrong with this one. Well, I'm going to have to take it apart anyway. That's weird. So it's the rightmost key, and something must not be seated correctly in there. So everything's working. We just got to fix this little thing, and then I can kind of clean off the inside of the plexiglass a little bit while I'm in there. Hopefully it's an obvious issue here that I can quickly fix. So for some reason, how it's sitting over this button oh, maybe it's supposed to sit on the top. No. Oh, maybe it was under the top. No, it's hard to tell. Let me try to turn it on. No, it has to go down below. There we go. That seems to be working. I don't know what happened, but maybe hopefully it stays that way when I tighten it. Let me when I put the screws back on. Let's just give this a little. Oh shoot, a nut came out. Does that look good? Don't want to have, it doesn't have to be, I think it's impossible to get it perfectly smudge free, but because that's kind of just the nature of plexiglass a little bit. But I want it to look pretty good. Okay, that looks good. Let's pop this back on, and hopefully whatever the issue was to get that note stuck doesn't happen again. Let's try it. Okay, so far so good.
Slayeroo45 said don't forget the nut.
Oh, the nut! Thank you. I almost did. Everybody in chat just contributing today. Everybody's coming up big. Saving me from myself. Okay, seems to be working. Let's flip it over.
Dr_binary 140 said nut.
Nut. You said nut. All right. So hopefully tightening.
Just Cube said peanuts, 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 peanuts.
Yeah, it does handle the emojis pretty well. Peanuts. All right, let's just again, don't want to over tighten it, but I want to make sure it's secure, especially since I'll have to ship this. All right, let's try that again. God damn it, now there's two. I wonder if maybe I'm over tightening it. This dang little, no, I can still, yeah, now there's only one, so it might just be like the way it's coming down. There we go. All right, so, no. So for future reference to whoever gets this, this key actually doesn't really push down like the other ones. I wonder why that is. It doesn't feel like it's... And I almost wonder if it's because it's at the end by itself. Maybe it just doesn't... Because all the other ones have this push to them, like you would expect like a little keyboard key to have, and this one just doesn't do that. Okay. Against my better judgment, because I want this to work well, I'm going to open it up again. I just want to have an understanding of why that doesn't feel right. It just might be how it is. But especially since I'm giving this to somebody, I want it to work right. And this is just the nature of like projects like this. So we know everything's functioning. It's just a matter of getting it exactly how it's supposed to work. And maybe that is how it's supposed to work. I don't really know. It could just be that key doesn't quite work in the same way as the other ones. See now, no, it's supposed to work the way, which is why it was getting stuck too, I think. So I'll just kind of have to keep my eye on that as I tighten. All right, so maybe if I tighten that screw by it first, that'll help. Yeah, it's still working. This is the kind of stuff I'd normally do off stream when I build something like this. But I wanted to get it totally finished on stream because since I've been doing this for 9 hours and 15 minutes already anyway, we might as well get it fully done. No, see, it's doing it again. It's how it's... It just started doing that once I tighten it. This is really annoying. Oh, there we go. So you can over tighten. You can over tighten the screws, and that's just I have a bad habit of doing that anyway. Screws too long. Oh, yeah. I think that might be the case that they're slightly too long. So it's still tight enough that everything's totally secure. It's just my my need to have everything totally screwed in tightly, which is not always the best thing to do. So if you just back off, I just backed off each screw slightly, and now there's no stuck keys, and every key has some playability to it where it actually feels like a key. And so You have 20 keys, and it has basically polyphony of 20 because you can play literally every single key at the same time. So there we go. Are the screws different? Oh, you mean each screw? I didn't test that, but they look the same just visually looking at them. So I think it's just. I mean, it's solid and everything's holding together. So I'm not worried about like I think the screws are tight enough to perform their function. It's just it's not even necessarily over tightening them, but if you tighten them a little bit more than what they're at now, it's something is like binding this key down so it's not pushing the way it's supposed to. And if you go too far, it's going to just keep that key stuck. So I would say whoever gets this, just keep in mind if a note's getting stuck or something, just kind of back up on those. I just tightened everything all the way, and then I backed up on each one just like, I don't know, like a quarter of a turn. And now it seems to be working because the only thing that's really rattling around slightly in there is the battery. And it's in the location that it's supposed to get. Like the battery's not going to go flying anywhere. It just has a little rattle to it, but that's just how it is. Why are some of the yellow? Okay, so it's like, so the black keys are all the green LEDs, and all the white keys are the amber LEDs. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, so I think it's just they thought it would look nicer to have a different LED color for the different keys. Hi, stopping by lunch. Hope stream's going good. Oh, that looks good. I'm excited to win this. Yeah, somebody's going to go home with this. Oh, and I didn't even have it full volume yet. It is actually fairly loud. Now that I have it where the speaker is pointing up directly at you, it's pretty loud. Like, and that's even with my headphones on. It's you probably. Now, obviously, you're not going to be playing a concert hall with this device, but for just like use where you're messing around with it, this is full volume right now. And it is pretty, decently loud for just kind of playing around with. And I think it's just because the speaker is pointing up at you now. Because I have it backed up quite a bit for like what to me is kind of a comfortable volume level. Who knows? You might win. Yeah, there's again, anybody who's out there, exclamation point raffle will enter you into the giveaway for this cute little synthesizer. And that's took me longer than I expected, but we did it. And it has like a cool little window into the circuit, which is kind of fun. It has a little power LED that you can see through there, and then just a volume control and a power switch on the bottom. So one thing, whoever wins this, just keep in mind to turn it off when not in use, because then that's less time between when you have to change the battery. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's basically there's 4 screws on the bottom. You pop the top off. The battery's right here, kind of behind the speaker. And you just change that. And then, like I said, this is an analog device. So the tuning may drift over time. So if it's but it's like a little toy synthesizer. So, I mean, if it's a little out of tune, it probably just adds to the charm a little bit. But if it gets to the point where you need to tune it up, you're just going to kind of get a tuner and just fine tune it a little bit with all the little trim pots there. But yeah, that was fun. I like this thing. The actually, honestly, for just like 3D printed keys, and they're obviously very tiny, it feels better than you would expect. Like once I got it mounted correctly where nothing was stuck, it does kind of have a nice feel to it, better than you would think anyway for a little 3D printed set of keys.